Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins. So how's everybody doing this weekend? I hope you're all doing well. We have another layer of snow on the ground, and so it's a good day to be in the craft room having some fun. So I have a challenge going on right now in the Something Old, Something New Facebook group. And if you're not a member of the Something Old, Something New Facebook group, all you have to do is put a comment below, say hi, let me know who you are, and then look for the Something Old, Something New group on Facebook. Ask to be invited in. There are a few questions to answer, and once you do that, you will be invited into the group. And we have a challenge going on right now. Every month we have a challenge. And the way the challenge works is that the winner from the previous month gets to select the theme for the challenge of the next month. So right now, one of our members, Mona Krimmer, was the winner, and she selected the theme of adult Easter card. So that's what we're going to do today, an adult Easter card, and I'm going to continue using the Easter Bunny set that I've been, where's my punch? The stamps and the punch, which I'll show you in just a second. It's in the basket. And I thought what I would do is something kind of monochromatic, neutral, and shabby chic, which are some of my favorite things. So let's get going with that. I've already mounted up my bunny stamp, so I've got that over here. And I actually have the card. I don't think I showed you the finished version of the last card I made, so let me just give you a close-up of this. So there they are, the Easter bunnies discussing their plans for delivering eggs for Easter. And I'm just checking to make sure that you can see and hear me, so just let me see what's happening. That looks good. Okay, yes, you can see me, and I see Kelly and Carol and Linda. Yeah, Linda's catching the live for a change because there's snow on the ground. Cheryl and Carol, thank you everybody. So, so this was the kind of modified easel card that I made, and it opens up like this. And then I have these Easter eggs that form a little flap, okay, and that flap will hold the card upright so that it can be displayed on wherever it is that you'd like to display your card. So I thought that was kind of cute. We're going to do something similar, except that we're going to do a little more traditional kind of an easel style card. Let me just pop this back in the case so I know where it is. All right, now the other stamp sets that I've got out are the two-tone Flora, and this is a bundle that comes with dies, and some of these dies are really quite beautiful. So there's this great big oversized die. And by the way, don't worry about writing down the names of any of the supplies or materials that you see me using here today, because I will include a list after the video is over, and you can just click on that and it'll take you right to the online store where all these things will be listed in one place. So anyway, so I've got this big background die cut which I used. And then I also used this leafy stamp, and I heat embossed that, and I have the die that I used to cut it out as well. I have the Queen Bee set out, and I stamped the happy from here. And I also used several of the dies in this set because these are some of the nicer dies that we have right now. We've got this beautiful leafy swag, so I used that in both the distressed gold and also in vellum. I used this label, these beautiful flowers that have a kind of embossed detail on them. I think you can see that. So it's got like little petal ruffles and veins in there. And then I also used this little leafy die as well. I have the Petal Park set out, which I love. This is a bundle. And here is the punch that comes with it. I think this is going to be a staple in my toolbox. I really like this quite a lot. I like that it has 3 different styles and sizes of flowers, a little leaf, and it has all these wonderful decorative accents and elements that you can use. And this can pretty much be used year-round. So I'm loving this set. And if you get it as a bundle, you get 10% off. So this is a really good one to have. And I'm also going to be using the Easter Bunny punch, which comes with this set in a bundle, but unfortunately the punch is currently on back order. However, the shape is super easy to cut out, so if you want to follow along what I do, you can just fussy cut it with your snips. Not a big deal. And this will be back in stock. I think it's May 15th is the date for this punch. All right, so those are the stamp sets and the punches, and then I've got some other items that I've begun preparing for you. I see Jan. Hi, Jan. I've got some papers here, and I have a vellum. I've used the distressed gold, which, let me grab that. Okay, here's the distressed gold. It looks like this. It has this wonderful kind of, what do you call that, mercury paint, that mercury that's in the old Christmas ornaments. It's a lot like that, except in gold. And then I've pulled out some Sahara sand. I've got some crumb cake, very vanilla, and I think this is gray granite. All right, so we've got some warm and cool neutrals here. For extras, I have the Sahara Sand ink and soft suede, the Champagne Rhinestone Basic Jewels, the adhesive back Milky Dots, and my favorite all-time ribbon, the Fine Art ribbon, which is currently on the clearance rack. So if you like this ribbon, I think it's going for about $3 a roll, which is a steal. So don't miss that, because it goes with everything. It just looks good no matter what. I also have my linen thread. I'm probably going to be using some of that today. I've got my little box of flowers that I've already punched out using the Petal Park set. Okay, so in here I have all sorts of little heat embossed. Let me show you one. So here's an example of a heat embossed vellum. So you can see the beautiful metallic gold on there, and some other odds and ends in here, so that might come in handy. And the reason I came on a little bit later today was because I was so busy heat embossing and die cutting, I lost track of time, and then I wouldn't have had time to have my coffee. So of course I had to go get my coffee because otherwise we wouldn't be having a video today. And in here, now let me just show you some of these things. I'll give you a close-up because these things are really just beautiful. Let's see. I think they'll show up on here. Use the Sahara sand. All right, so let me zoom you in a little bit and I'll show you what I've been busy doing. So using those stamp sets and dies that I just showed you, I've created an assortment of embellishments that I can use for my card. So I've got these beautiful leafy swags in the vellum and the distressed gold. So these are the things that were in the Queen Bee die set. And also these little leaves and these little flowers. And you know, don't overlook these little flowers because they are really pretty. You can see I think you can see the detail on them with the little dots and the embossed lines. Super pretty. Maybe you could see it better on the gold. Yeah, there you go. So you can see how pretty those are. And they've got really deeply incised petals so that you can bend these things very easily. You want to be careful though because they're extremely delicate and they'll tear easily. But loving these things. So as you can see, I've got a whole bunch. These are the leaves that I heat embossed and cut out from, let me just make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Okay, this is the two-tone flora. Okay, so here it's this stamp, and I've got them heat embossed on crumb cake and also on very vanilla. And I think I really like the way it looks on the crumb cake, but I like to have options, so there those are. So this is just more of the same. I've got I don't know that I'll be using these, but I have a couple of rectangles that have been cut out using the deckled rectangle die set. Here's my happy, okay, and that was using the Queen Bee and gold heat embossing, and you can see the die cut has this very pretty stitching on the edges. And then here is that beautiful oversized die from the two-tone floor that looks like lace, and it's just gorgeous. And so here you can see it in Sahara sand over the crumb cake card base, and I think that looks really pretty. And then just for good measure, I decided to try cutting out the die with the vellum, and I really like the way this looks, but what I want to do is I want to trim it down because I just want this section of it, and I think it really looks so beautiful. So let me see if I can give you a shot of that. So you can see, I mean, it looks stunning. It's just like an old-fashioned tablecloth, and I just love that style so much. So those are some of the inspiration that I have for the card for you today. So let's get started with our card base. I'm just going to clear off my desk here because now I can't. I have no more room left. My card base I thought what I would do is I would do a combination. So here's an example of your basic horizontal easel back card, okay? And then here is an example of a very basic pocket card so that you could tuck something in there. It could be money or tickets or a gift card, a little gift certificate from a shop, whatever. So I like that. And I really like the way this looks against the crumb cake background. So I thought what I would do, since I already have this card made up, is I would just convert this into a easel back card. So this is your basic 5.5. Let me get my measurer out so I can show you. So this is your basic 5.5 by 4.25 card base. And it was formed, actually I'm just gonna show you from scratch because I think it'll be easier for you to see it. So I've got my trimmer out here. I'm gonna grab a piece of crumb cake. Sometimes seeing it is easier than saying it. So I'm going to put the paper in the trimmer at 5.5 with the short side at the top. And that's going to give me a piece of cardstock that measures 11 by 5.5. And then I'm just going to go ahead and, using my score blade, I'm going to score that at 4.25. I'm going to open up my arm of my trimmer, bring this to 8.5, score again, fold that in for my pocket, and fold on the top for my card. Okay, so that's the basic pocket card. But now what I want to do, because I'm turning this into a easel back card, I'm going to also score this at 2 1/8. Alright, so if you were making all the scores at one time, it would be 2 1/8, 4.25, and 8.5. And you end up with this kind of configuration. Now, I want to put a little rounded corner over here. So I'm using my tri-punch. And actually, I don't think this punch is available anymore, so let me show you a trick. This is the Essential Tag Punch, and if you notice, it has a little curved scoop on the top of the tab. You can use that to round your corner. So just put your corner in there so you can see it. Let me zoom you in so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so just get that in there so you can see that little corner poking beyond that scoop. And I just have to get this a little closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. All right. Oops, I think I moved it a little bit, but that's okay. You can get the idea. So there's your nice rounded corner. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and glue my pocket on one side. so. Give that a good burnish. Just hold that in place for a minute till the glue sets up. Hey Cookie, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so there is my card base. I'm just going to put this aside while I start doing the decorations, because we're actually going to be working on a separate piece of crumb cake. So let me just cut this down. And I'm just going to cut this at 4 1/4. And this is going to be adhered to the easel support like so, okay? So it looks like this from the side. And this is the panel that I'm going to be working on. It looks like it's time to change the blade on my trimmer. All right, so for the background, I'm going to adhere my lacy die. For this, I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet and just going to put the glue in the larger areas, just kind of dot it around, get the edges. If you haven't signed up for notes from Dandelion Cottage, please do, because I'm going to be announcing the journal making workshop this weekend, and this is going to be a scrap buster journal. So if you're somebody that has some paper crafting supplies in your craft room that you'd like to start using up, and if you'd like to learn how to make a beautiful hardbound journal very easily, you're not going to want to miss this. So this is the scrap busting journal workshop, and it's going to be announced this weekend. And in order to find out about it, you have to be on the mailing list for notes from Dandelion Cottage. You just go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com, and you'll find a tab there. And if you wait till after the end of the video today, I will also put that link in the description. So you don't want to miss that. When you subscribe to Notes, you'll also be notified of all future classes, workshops, and events, and other news from Dandelion Cottage. All right, so I think we've got enough glue on there to hold that down. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and give that a burnish. You want to use your bone folder whenever you can to help distribute the glue so that you have a really nice adhesion. So there's my beautiful background, and I'm just going to grab a tissue I can see a couple of little glue spots there where my tissue's stuck. There we go. All right, so that looks beautiful. And now we can get to our bunny. So let's see. What color is the bunny going to be? I'm kind of thinking I think we'll do the bunny in crumb cake. So I've got I'm using the Sahara Sand ink because that's what I happen to have handy at the moment. I'm just going to stamp my bunny. And actually, I'll use this. I have a blending pen here, and I'm just going to pick up some of the ink that I have in the cover here. Let me zoom you in a little bit. And I can just put a little bit of color on my bunny like so. So you can use the blender pen just as you would one of the markers, except that you've got a lot more control with it. Okay, so you can really decide how much ink or how dark you want the coloring to be. You can blend out the tones. And the advantage of using the blender pen is that you don't have to worry about the cardstock getting oversaturated. Now, if you do rub on the same spot over and over again, you will eventually disturb the fiber of the cardstock. But the solution that's in the pen itself is designed so that you can use it on cardstock without damaging the surface. All right, so he's coming along. Let's get a little more color on his face. Okay, and then what I think I want to do is just add a little bit of white for his tail. So for the white, I have my white craft ink, and I'm just going to grab my water painter, add a drop of water, because I don't want this to be too wet because it's not watercolor paper, so I'm just enough to make the ink move. And a little bit on his cheeks. His chest. And we can put a little highlight in his eye. There we go. All right, so he's looking very cute. If you want to get it a little bit brighter, you can let that dry for a second and then go right over the top of it, and you can get a little bit brighter white. I want to make sure that that tail's nice and bright. Okay, so there he is. And I'm going to grab my punch. I need to cut it. I got him a little bit too far from the edge here. So I need to just remove a little bit of card from the bottom so that he can fit in there better. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to take that white and bring that to the edge of the card. Also on his chest. And down in here. There we go. All right. Now the last thing I want to do is just give him a little bit of a sponging. So I have my sponges. Oh, let me zoom you out a little bit. That's a little bit too close. So I'm just going to grab a sponge in here. Let's find one. This one will work. Just going around the edges. Okay, there he is. Just smooth that out a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we're just going to add our decorations and see what we get. My idea is to have the bunny down in the lower left-hand corner and then have the happy up in the right. Now, I really wanted to use this tag and Easter didn't fit on it, so on the inside of the card I'll be able to put my Happy Easter greeting, but just for the cover of the card I'm going to leave it just like this. And I'm going to be using some dimensionals. I've got my liquid glue, and I'm probably going to be wanting to use some glue dots as well. And my idea is to create a little bit of a sort of a cluster of leafiness and sparkle behind the bunny. Now, I like the idea of using a portion of this design. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut around and release these larger flowers. So I'm just going to snip those out. Let me see if I can do this so that you can see a little bit better. Hang on. I know it's hard to see. All right. So I'm just going around the flowers and just sort of curving in the direction that they would be growing in. The same with the leaves. Let me see, can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, I think you can see. All right, now this, I think I want this larger flower, so I'm going to go ahead and include that. All right, so that's that bigger piece cut away. Let me just grab this one little spot. There we go. All right, so it looks, sorry. There we go. So it looks like, so far it looks like this. This I can save for something else. And now I just want to decide, I think I'm going to go around keeping these two flowers but removing this top corner here. And this is one of the reasons why I like this die so much, because you have so much versatility in using it. You know, you can cut it to any shape you like so that it suits the project that you're working on. All right, let's clean up some of these edges. All right, I'm happy with that. Where's my card? Here we go. Kit says, thanks for alternative ways to create the same effect if we don't have the identical tools or materials. Absolutely. You know, you have, if you're like me, you've got a treasure trove of tools and supplies in your craft room, and you need to use those things. I mean, I love to get new things too, but that doesn't mean that you can't use the things that you already have. And if they're things that you love or they inspire you, then absolutely get them out. So that's, I like this idea of this kind of little, it's very subtle. It's very subtle, but it just adds another element of sort of richness to the way that the background looks. And I'm not worried about the glue showing through, because I'm going to have a bunch of, first of all, I'm going to have a bunch of stuff layered up over the top of it. And what I'm doing here is I'm going along the corner edge, but I'm not going to put glue on these pieces because I want them to stick up. I don't want them to be glued down. I want them to have some dimension to them. So I'm just adding glue within about maybe an inch or so of those things. And the vellum actually has, you can see that when it starts to get moist from the glue, it wants to curl. And that's good, because in this case, well, it's not always good, but in this case it is good. That's what I want. Now, before I stick that down, I want to blot that because I know there's a lot of glue on there. So I'm just removing the excess. And I might get my head in the camera because I have to see what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm just going to hold that for a minute. And I'm pressing on all the areas that I put the glue to sort of spread it out. Okay, and I'm just going to flip that, give it a good burnish. And now what I have is this kind of a very subtle sort of a shadow effect, and I can help that along just by curling up these leaves a little bit, and it's just going to give me that kind of multi-layered look. So it actually looks even more like actual lace fabric. Okay, then Bunny needs a background, so let's see what we have here. There's Houdini. He hears me talking and he's like, I am so over being inside. They want to go outside and I can't blame them. Sophia Maria, my kitten, ran outside today and put her paws in the snow. Oh boy, here they go. That looks kind of good. All right, I like that. Let's see. I think what I want to do with this, I want to cut it. Sorry for the extra noise. Welcome to my life. Just the other day, the flock was outside. They had been cooped up all winter long, and there was finally a little bit of snow that had melted around the coop. And they were so happy to come outside and peck away at the grass and in the leaves. But now we've got another 6 inches of snow. So everybody's kind of anxious to get outside. I have a flock of red-winged blackbirds that have been coming to the feeder. And of course the chickadees are starting to announce their territories with their song. So we've got a lot of bird action going on here at Dandelion Cottage. And I don't want this to stick out too much. I want this to be something like that. Alright, so that's what I have so far. And that's going to tuck in here, something like that. And I think I'm going to glue that down. Like that. And Bunny is going to be raised up on dimensionals. But I want to use some of this ribbon. So let's get that ribbon. And my linen thread. I think I've got some scraps in here. I just need a little bit of that. There's a piece. There we go. It might be a little bit too much by the bunny there, but what I will do is I'll just make a bow. That wasn't very good. Try that again. I am not the best bow maker. That's not so bad. Having sticky fingers doesn't make it any easier. But there's a bow. And I like that. Now I've got my happy here. And I think what I want to do is I want to punch a hole. So I'm going to grab one of my smaller hole punchers. Let's see what we've got here. That's too small. Okay, I think this is 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to get that centered as best I can. Take my scrap of linen thread and put that through there. There we go. And where this This is why I like to have a lot of things ready to go so that I can really start to play with all the shapes and see how I want them to be. So that's looking pretty cute. I'm going to go ahead. I want these to have a kind of a layered effect. So I'm going to put one down with glue. Like so. let that come off the side. There we go. Judy says, your rooster is quite noisy. He certainly is, Judy. I don't usually have roosters in the house, but we had a situation where one of my roosters was not doing so well, and I thought he was actually dying. And so I brought him in so that he could be comfortable, and he had a miraculous recovery. So now he's doing great. And so it gets a little bit noisy here. Okay, so I'm getting really excited about the way this is coming together. Let me just see. So this is the gold heat embossing on the very vanilla, and I like the added. I like the contrast. So I think I'm going to give that a little bit of a curl. Like so. And I'm going to put one-dimensional. Actually, I think I need my little dimensionals for this one. Let me grab the mini dimensionals. Are really handy for getting into some of these tiny spaces. If you don't have the mini dimensionals, then just grab your snips and cut the shape that you need from your regular dimensionals, and you'll be in business. All right, and then I do want this portion of the leaf to be glued down flat, so I'm going to add my liquid glue to that section and just remove the backing. Sorry, off camera. I should call this show Sticky Fingers. Okay, there. All right, so what I'm looking for is this branch to sort of come up and curl around so that it creates a little bit of a shadow underneath there. And what will happen is, because it has the gold heat embossing on it, excuse me, that little bit of a curl is going to help it to collect the light. All right, and the same thing with these leaves that are loose over here. So it's all about a little bit of light and shadow, and how to collect the light. It's a lot of fun. All right, now I think we can get Bunny on there. So I'm gonna load him up, and I've also added a little bit of a curl. As I was inking around the edges, I was able to curl the cardstock so that he could be a little more dimensional. Okay, so I think you can see he's very curvy now. And I'm using the bigger ones. Let me just get that backing off there. One more. Okay. So there's Bunny. Let's get him on there. All right, so he's looking like that so far. Very cute. Happy's going to be over here, and I want to use this bow. So I think I'm going to have the glue dot make sure I get this on the right side. In fact, I think that for this bow I can use an extra glue dot. I want to make sure that stays on really well. I want the happy to have some movement, but not so much that it's sort of floppy, just a little bit. Now I want to make sure this stays on really well. There we go. I can trim these tails just a little bit. Okay, so those are the larger elements, and now I just want to add a few of these flowers, and we'll be ready to put everything together. So as I was mentioning earlier, these flowers that are from the Queen Bee dies have a really nice ability to fold and become more dimensional. And I like the way they look when they're layered up with the vellum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble a couple of them and just put them aside to dry a little bit, because the gold foil and the vellum takes a little bit longer to dry. So I'm just going to kind of stagger the vellum on the top, just like so. I'll do 3 of the larger ones, if I have another one. Here we go. And I'll do a couple of these little ones too. Now, we find these. Make sure this is staggered so I can see the gold in between the petals. All right, so those are going to take just a couple of seconds to dry. And while they're drying, I'm going to go ahead and take my card base and get this assembled. So for this, I'm just adding glue to this portion of the card here. Actually, before I do that, I want to adhere a an area inside for a message. So I have a scrap here of berry vanilla, and I think I'll put the message in this section here. I think that will be best. And I just want to see what that will be. Let's say something about 4.5 by, let's try 4.5 by 1.5 and see how that looks. Good. Now you could do a little heat embossing in here. You could add some decoration, but I'm just going to keep it plain for now. Okay, and now I'll add my glue to this area. Get this lined up. And now I think we can add these flowers. Now I'm just going to very gently kind of curl up the vellum so that it lifts up above the gold base and gives them a little bit of a dimension. Okay, so you get something that looks like that. And I'm just going to stick these on with a drop of glue. And just clear a space so I can zoom you in. Oh, sorry, my crazy zoom. There we go. There. Okay, so there's one. Take another one of the larger flowers. Now, a lot of the techniques and the supplies that you see me using on this card, I'm going to be using also in the scrap busting journal making workshop, because these are some of my favorite things, and I think that they are probably things that you also have in your stash. So I think it'll be nice to be able to use up some of these things. If you have pieces of lace or fabric or buttons or, you know, things like that, anything goes. I'm just going to be giving you the basics, and I'll share with you how I decorate my journal. But what I'm really hoping is that everybody is inspired to do something a little bit different. And then finally I have this one last little flower, and I think I'm going to put this up on the label. Let me just get those petals curled up. That might be a bit much. I'll just stick it down here. There we go. All right. Finally, I just want to add some, a little bit of sparkle to those flowers. So these are the Champagne Rhinestone Basic Jewels, and I love these because I think they're just kind of delicate and nice, and they just look so pretty with the neutral toned papers. I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle, get that in the center. And I've got these medium-sized ones that I can put in the larger flowers. There we go. All right, well, that's my card for you today. This is what I'm calling the adult Easter-themed card. Now this little, on the inside here, you have this little flap, remember, that you can put a gift card. All right, so something will fit nicely in there. It could be cash, it could be a gift card, it could be tickets to a show, whatever you like. You have a place for your message. And that flap is also going to hold that easel in place. Now, you also have a very nice area here on the flap where you could add a little more decoration, which I may do, but I'm not going to keep you on the video any longer because I know that you're busy and you want to get to your crafting today. So I'm just going to go ahead and play with that for a minute. You'll be able to see the finished version in the thumbnail. But for now, there it is. So let's get this on camera so that you can see it better. There he is. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that gave you some ideas. Move this stuff out of the way so you can see better. There he is. I really, really love the stamp sets and the supplies that I used in this project today. These are some of my most favorite things, and I really enjoy doing this kind of a tone on tone, multi-textural kind of a card. So I hope you do too. And if you do something that is inspired by the show today, please post it in Dandelion Paper Pals. We'd love to see what you do. And also, if you're interested in joining that challenge of the adult theme Easter card that is over in Something Old, Something New, you're invited to join in. So just for both the Dandelion Paper Pals and the Something Old, Something New, just make sure that you put a comment below so I know who you are, and then look those places up and ask to be admitted, and we'll let you in. Remember that the scrap busting workshop, journal making workshop, let me get that straight. The scrap busting journal making workshop is going to be announced this weekend. And the way you find out about it is by subscribing to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and you can do that on the website, dandelioncottagedesign.com, and I will also be posting that link below. So have a great rest of your weekend. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will be back on Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time right here for Marvelous Monday.